My name is Allie Ray Carpenter, and today I'm going to be giving a presentation on the professional teaching standards. In this presentation, I will be comparing the InTask and NCTM standards. I'll be describing how each relate with collaboration and data-driven decision-making. I will also explain InTask's view of teachers continuing to improve their practice and why that is so necessary. So what are these professional teaching standards? The first set is the InTask, which are the Interstate Teacher Assessment and Support Consortium standards, essentially. And these standards are a set of core expectations for teachers to ensure that they're able to prepare their students adequately for college or the workforce. The InTask standards are broken into 10 standards that are then divided into 3 subparts to further explain these standards. Those 3 subparts are performance, essential knowledge, and critical dispositions. My SPA is the National Council of Mathematics, and they have the standards for the preparation of secondary mathematics teachers. These are my standards because I'm currently an Algebra 1 teacher in a job embedded program to get licensed to teach mathematics. So that's my set of standards. The NCTM's mission statement, I found 2 actually. The first comes from the standards for preparation of secondary mathematics teachers, those standards themselves, and it states that NCTM supports and advocates for the highest quality mathematics teaching and learning for each and every student, end quote. However, when I went to the NCTM mission, vision, and key messages document on nctm.org, they state that the NCTM mission is the public voice, that the NCTM is the public voice of mathematics education with the purpose to support teachers to ensure equitable mathematics learning of the highest quality for all students through vision, leadership, professional development, and research, end quote. So the mission statement stated in the standards for teachers is then later elaborated further in a different document. So there are 2 themes, at least, that I found between these 2 sets of standards that they really share a lot in common. And the first is that they both want to monitor student growth through assessment. This is specifically mentioned in Standard 6 of the InTask, which states, and I quote, "The teacher understands and uses multiple methods of assessment to engage learners in their own growth, to monitor learning progress, and to guide the teachers and learners' decision-making," end quote. InTask wants us to use multiple methods of assessment and says that teachers must design assessments that match the learning objectives with the assessment methods to minimize the source of bias so that these assessment results are not distorted. The NCTM standard that aligns with this theme is the standard 5, which states candidates assess and use evidence of students' learning of rigorous mathematics to improve instruction and subsequent student learning. Candidates analyze learning gains from formal and informal assessments from individual students, the class as a whole, and subgroups of students. Separated from the demographic categories. So you're not looking at the demographic categories, you're looking at the individual students. And then NCTM needs this information to be used for decision making, to adjust the decisions that teachers make and to maximize student learning. So this also pours into that improving teacher practice, which we'll come back to later. Why does this matter? Well, another source, a man by the name of Aldrich, argues that in order to make assessment most effective, educators must make meaningful changes to them. his opinion of what that meaningful change is to make authentic assessment, which is assessments that are meaningful to students and are applicable to their lives. Regardless of what assessment strategy that you use, it's important that it assesses student knowledge and that it then guides teachers to improve their practice, to improve the way that they teach, the way that they interact with students, and the way that students receive that information or are expected to receive that information. The second common theme I found between the two was impactful planning. Both the InTask and NCTM find it very important for teachers to plan and to plan well with specific goals in mind. So the InTask standard that aligns with that is going to be standard 7. And that is asking teachers to, and I quote, plan instruction that supports every student in meeting rigorous learning goals by drawing upon knowledge of content area, curriculum, cross-disciplinary skills, and pedagogy, as well as knowledge of learners in community context, end quote. Part 7B and other subparts of the standards require teachers to be attentive to students and aware of the many variables that play into their education as well as their assessment results. The NCTM standard is standard 3, knowing students and planning for mathematical learning. And part 3B specifically narrows in on that planning aspect. The NCTM goes on to explain this further in a table where it breaks down the importance of planning to incorporate, you account for students' diversity, students' mathematical strengths, and their mathematical identities. Apologize. Why does this matter? This matters because the context of students' community and culture impact how they learn and how they interact with learning content. And so teachers must plan to incorporate that aspect of their students so that students can culturally connect with that content. And teachers must be intentional to do that. Collaboration. How does collaboration interact with these two sets of standards? In just about every way, actually. Both standards mention collaboration in almost every standard. Even though they may not mention it specifically, it's frequently mentioned. So collaboration is mentioned in the InTask in all but the second standard. And I misspoke. The InTask, the NCTM standards mention it specifically in 6 and 7, but standard 6 of the NCTM revolves completely around collaboration. It states candidates are reflective mathematicians, mathematics educators who collaborate with colleagues and other stakeholders to grow professionally, to support student learning, and to create more equitable mathematics learning environments. I apologize, I'm stuttering a little today. So both these standards find it crucial to incorporate collaboration with students' families, with colleagues and professionals. And this collaboration enables these educators to, one, improve their practice, but also to accurately and effectively implement the accommodations for students in special ed or students with IEPs or students who just have different learning abilities. Both are driven by data as well. The InTask specifically states that teachers are expected to use data to improve their instruction and support learner success. They also state that teachers need to be prepared to make data-informed decisions at varied levels of assessment. And those range from standardized tests to benchmarks to formative to summative assessments to everything, right? The InTask specifically mentions specifically mentions data in standards 6, 7, 9, and 10. While the NCTM standards, each of those have an evidence section. So they list the standard and then they say, this is the evidence that we want to see from teachers or see in students that can guide teachers' practice. In addition to that, their standards 1, 2, 4, and 5 specifically discuss the words data and look at it through a data perspective and not just an evidence perspective, but they're very related. The InTask standards have a specific goal in mind. Their purpose is to improve teacher practice. So they want teachers to continually analyze and look into themselves and improve and advance their practice. Standards 9 talk about improving practice, and standard 10 talks about advancing the profession. So both data and collaboration are used to do these things. InTask states specifically that responsibility to advance the profession while simultaneously advancing knowledge, skills, and opportunities for each learning is the responsibility of all educators to continually look into themselves, look into their practice, and say, how can this get better? To conclude, in this presentation, we've discussed that these standards are intended to prepare teachers for their profession, to guide their analysis, and to improve their practice. Both the InTask standards and the NCTM standards for preparation of secondary mathematics teachers accomplish this goal. Through gathering data from assessments, data from research, observations, interactions with students, and a whole lot more ways. Educators must plan with the goal to differentiate and engage students in rigorous learning. And this collection of data and reflection upon one's practice as an educator must be ongoing. To improve your practice, you must also collaborate with your peers to get a different set of eyes in the classroom, a different set of eyes on you interacting with your kids, or on you planning, or on your data. Thank you. These are my references.